Hello and welcome back to RC Model Reviews. Today, by popular demand, I have one of these. This is the little orange receiver from Hobby King. Why have I got one of these? Well, I've thought these things just work, don't they? I mean, there are so many. There must be tens of thousands, maybe even more of these receivers out there in foamies and gliders and goodness knows what, just working. And they seem to work very reliably as far as DSM2 goes. These are pretty damn fine bits of kit. But people keep emailing me saying, when will you review the Hobby King orange receiver? So I'm going to do it. We'll throw it on the bench. We'll see how it stacks up from a technical perspective. As you know, here on RC Model Reviews, we don't do unboxings, but we might do an unbagging because they just come in a plastic bag. No fancy boxes for these things. There we go. That's it. That's the orange receiver. Now, as you can see, there's actually not much to see. It's a little orange box, and it's got a couple of bits of wire hanging out of it, which I don't think is diversity. I think it's probably just a dipole. And as you can see, the casing is nice and tough. It's got all the outputs written on there. And remember that with the DSM2, the JR Spektrum stuff, the channel ordering is different to what you'd expect to find on a Futaba or a Turnigy as stock. It even comes with a little bind loop included. How about that? So what I'm going to do now is get my orange DSM2 transmitter module, bung it in the back of a radio, and let's put this thing on the bench and see how it works. And here is that orange transmitter module. Bought this ages ago. I've never used it. I bought it to review, so I guess now's as good a time as any. This is a JR style DSM2, and it says DSMX on there, doesn't it? I think no, in the manual or something. It says on the front here somewhere DSMX. Yeah, look, DSMX, DSM2, but I don't really think it does DSMX. I think it's just DSM2, but I guess I can check it and find out. I have to get a DSMX receiver to find out, but there we go. There's the module, there's the antenna, and that's the matching receiver. So let's hook some power up, throw this thing in. I've got the old IMAX radio here, my oldest 9X radio. I'll throw the module in there, put the antenna on, we'll fire it up. Let's see what happens. Now the first thing I noticed is if you got one of these, the 9X radio, look, the antenna gets right up there by the handle. That's really bad. That's poor design. I mean, the FreeSky one is a much better design. It has the antenna on that little standout, so it's well clear of the handle. But no, the orange one is pretty crap actually. Not impressed with that at all. It also means when you lay it down, that antenna takes all the load. It's not the handle, it's the antenna. So yeah, bad design. But hey, it's not something you're going to use very often, is it? Because DSM2 is hardly the best solution on the market anymore. It's only for those little bind and flies, I suspect. So let's see if we can bind the receiver to that transmitter module. According to the instruction manual, the comprehensive instruction manual that comes with the module, you hold down the bind button on the back when you turn the radio on, wait for it to flash twice. So let's see if that works. Here we go. Hopefully you can see it on the lights. Where's the switch? There we go. There we go. It flashed twice. So now it beeped. Woohoo! Now we must be in the right thing. So let's put some power onto the receiver. It's got the bind plug in there. And I'm using 4.8 volts from my bench supply. Here is the receiver. Look, it's flashing away there. Hopefully the camera can pick that up. It's flashing away. I don't know if that's bound or not. There's no instructions with the orange receiver, so I just assume that's bound. So I shall unplug the power. Turn the radio off. Turn it on again. And now if I plug the power in, after removing the bind plug, should all go, shouldn't it? Should all be go now. Let's see what happens. Is it going to bind up? Nothing's happening. No little light on. Hello? Hello? Nope. What have I done wrong? Oh. Okay, maybe we try that again. I think I have discovered the secret. Oh man, this stuff is... Here we go. Bind plug in. Power lead. Let's plug this in. Make it go. Rapid flashing. Now, so the receiver's on first. Now I will hold down the bind button while turning on the transmitter and see what happens. Still holding the... Look at that. It's now flashing slowly. I assume that is bound. Ooh. Oh, now it's bound. God, it took a long time. So it's bound up now to the transmitter, hopefully. Let's try it and see. So here we go, let's turn on the transmitter. The switch needs repair. It's one of those horrible 9X switches. I haven't fixed it yet. There we go, and a beep. Now we plug in the power, and I do believe the power connection's down this end here. It doesn't really matter. Will it bind up? Oh look, it has! Woohoo! Now, does the servo move? These are all questions we need to know. Let's have a look. Yes, so it's working. No problems at all. That seems to be working fine. Now, what I'm going to do, of course, now is just check the voltage at which this whole thing stops working, because that's quite important. Now, because the bench supply is not as accurate as my Fluke multimeter, I'm going to put the multimeter in the picture here so you can see the exact voltage at which this whole thing stops working. Hopefully you can see the orange glow in the receiver. Let's wind this voltage down, see when that light goes out. Because this was one of the weak points of the original Spektrum receivers, was their brownout voltage. Yeah, it's doing all right. 3.8, 3.6. 3.2. Hey, this is going well. 3 volts. Look at that. Is it still working? It is at 3 volts, 2.9 volts. That's pretty damn impressive. Oh, I think it's way better than the early Spektrum receivers. Well, there we go. Drops out at about 2.6, comes back at 2.7. That's nothing to be ashamed of. That's pretty impressive low voltage performance. And just as impressively, because we had a brownout there, look, the LED is now flashing, so that if you come down and find your LEDs flashing, you know you've had a voltage problem, your receiver has momentarily stopped, and you need to find out why, because otherwise it may not come back to life next time. So that's really good. That's a very nice feature. So now let's check the relink time. How long does it take for this receiver to relink if the power is completely removed? So it has to effectively rebind. Let's have a look. I'll pull out the power lead. There we go. So it's off. Put it back on. What's the link up time? Well, that was pretty near instant because it's still flashing to show you've had a power failure. And as long as it's flashing, it's working. I'll just check. I'll wiggle the sticks, make sure it is working. Yep, and what I'll do this time is I'll pull the power lead out and I'll move the servo so you can see when the servo actually gets commanded from the transmitter. So you know when it's actually starting to respond again, not just the light going. Let's have a look. Hopefully all this is in shot. And wire in. Look at that, straight away. That's bloody marvellous. That's excellent. Truly very, very good. I'm impressed. And now, to plagiarise my friend Dave Jones from Australia, let's not just turn it on, let's take it apart. And here it is in all its high-tech goodiness. Really, there's only one major component on here, and that's this Cypress chip here, which does all the 2.4 goodery, and it also has a microprocessor in it to do all the channel decoding as well. Really clever little chip. Yeah, it says ANT1 and ANT2. I'll have to trace through the circuitry here to see whether it's actually using antenna diversity or what's going on there, and I will do that, and I'll probably put a little note along the bottom of the screen here so that you'll be able to see whether it does or not. Construction is actually a really good quality. I mean, the soldering is excellent, the layout is just fine. I've got no complaints so far. Turn it over, there's nothing much on the back of there except a ground plane, a whole lot of these little dots here, they're called vias, these little holes there. They just transfer the, in fact I don't even know whether those are, hold on a minute, I'll have a close look. No, they're not, I don't know. Hard to tell without my glasses on, but these are just vias. That just transfers the signal from one side of the board to the other. That's just a black felt pen mark there, so wouldn't worry about that. And yeah, as I say, the soldering is really good. The design, the layout seems fine. They've even gone so far as to put a little bit of glue on here, you know, just to support that wire. And it's good silicon wire. The wire is nice and soft, not plastic, so it won't break as easily as the plastic ones. Didn't seem to hit the glue gun on this one over here though, but oh well, can't be perfect. Yeah, I'd say these are actually a brilliant little receiver. If you want to fly DSM2, then hey, why spend big money on a Spektrum receiver when one of these is going to do the job very, very well? I am impressed actually. Even if I had the choice, I'd probably buy one of these instead of the genuine thing. Think of all the money you'll save. So there you go. Yep, all we've done here is really prove what we already knew. And what we knew is that these receivers are pretty damn good, amazing value and well designed. I couldn't find much fault with them apart from the fact they're DSM2, and as everybody knows, DSM2 it's past its best by date. But if you're flying a small foamy in a relatively noise-free environment in terms of radio frequency, then these will still work. Lots of people use them, lots of people have no problems at all. But of course you wouldn't go and buy a DSM2 system these days because there are so many other alternatives like the Free Sky and the, well, you know, DSMX if you want to stick with Spektrum. You've got DMSS if you want to go with genuine JR. You've got Fast, you've got FHSS. There's so many options. This is just, you know, so last decade when it comes to radio control technology. So, but if you've got a transmitter and you need more DSM2 receivers, then hey, just don't waste your money on one of the cheaper Spektrum ones, just, you know, or dearer Spektrum ones. Get one of these. Get lots of these and you'll be able to build more models for a minimum cost. As for this little module on the back of the transmitter, the little orange module, it seems to work. I can't complain. It says it's DSMX. I'll do some tests later on with the DSMX receiver if I can find one laying around in the rubbish heap. Because, again, if you've got a transmitter with a JR form factor module holder, so it can be one of the 9Xs, it can be the 9XR, it can be the Tyrannus even. You can throw this module in the back and all those Park Zone bind and flies, woo, you can fly them just through this module with the DSM2 or DSMX if it does it. So there you go. I'm quite pleased with what I found with this little setup here. It's certainly better than I expected, but as we know, people have been using these orange receivers for years and most people have had no trouble at all with them. That's why they're so damn popular. So all I've done is confirmed what we already knew. They're a thumbs up if you want DSM2. In the meantime, if you've got questions, comments, anything like that, put them on the bottom of this video. I'll do my best to answer them. And if you like the video, give it a thumbs up so other people will find it. And now it's time for me to get back to the bench. Now, although the transmitter module and receiver seem very nice and well made and constructed, I don't know who they got to write the manual, because let me read a little bit from this Chinglish manual. By binding DSM2 2.4 GHz transmitter module, check your receiver and selected a right working mode automatically. LED will indicate this working mode later. One receiver has one right working mode only here. If you have more than one receiver and they have different types, you need memory each one's working mode by a note. Some receivers LED lighting same at a wrong or a right working mode both. I hope that's clear.